The word today is short, but I pray that God will speak to you just the same. The title of this is, everyone read together, Fixer Upper Faith. The courage to begin. Fixer Upper Faith. The courage to begin. Um, Fixer uppers are interesting. There's a couple of shows that we like to watch. Fixer. Anyone want to watch any kind of fixer upper shows, HGTV, stuff like that. Ramona is probably, if I could guess, she's probably like, oh my God, like that's your thing right there. Me, I'm like, can we just move in? Like, like I'm not. I mean, you look at. I mean, you're just handsome. You're not trying. I mean, you know what I'm saying. I'm just saying. Like, we're not trying to. My wife's all like, oh my God. Fixer uppers are interesting. I mean, there's a few ideas that I saw. There's a couple of shows we watch. I mean, look at this stuff. I mean, listen to the top. That's the same spot. The bottom. It doesn't even look like it's the same planet that's on. Crazy. How about this one? It's like how? Like, how do you do that? It's always like it's so. How do you do that? Oh, and this one. Exactly, huh? Like that's like what? How? Where? Where? The staircase? Incredible. Is that it? Is that all we have, right? So fixer uppers are very interesting. Because in order to go from that to that, in order to go from what was to what now is, that needs a very powerful vision. It needs a lot of dedication, and it needs to have that clarity to begin. Sometimes our faith is like fixer-upper faith. It's like where it is right now, nothing is going on. I mean, it's like crumbling. It's like there's stuff on the wall. There's molds growing in our faith house. There's nothing happening. I mean, the structure is still there, but no one can live there. How about this? Sometimes in our faith, the structure is there. We know all the rules. We read the Bible once or twice, but God can't live in it. that flew over your head. Let me say this one more time. It's like, church, the Christian stuff, God, I've been to church. I, do some church stuff, it's cool, I'm comfortable in church. But can the presence of God, can God really say, wow, that is a place, that is a person that I can really dwell? The same way that place is on top is not livable right now. There's some things that has to be done on the inside to make it comfortable for God. I wonder, is your life comfortable for God? I wonder, is your life in the kind of place where God can say, that's the place that I really want to be at? Fixer-uppers. That kind of faith is what Abraham went through. See, Abraham had the same fixer-upper faith. What happened to Abraham happened in Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. We were familiar with this, right? The call of Abraham. The Lord said to Abraham, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land that I will show you. 3 things here, very important. Go from your what? Country, and then your people, and your father's household to a place that I'm going to show you. Here's a couple of pointers I want us to walk away with today. Very important. Number 1, it's not always about what we will do, but what God will do through us, in us, and for us. If you continue to read that Genesis chapter 12, it continues with God says, leave your country, leave your household, leave your people, and I will take you to a place where I will show you. And then God begins to describe what will happen there. I will make you a father of many nations. This will happen and that will happen. So God was saying, you leave, but it's not about what you will do. It's what I will do for you, through you, and in you when you get there. So it's not always about what we will do. It's about what God will do in us, through us, and for us. Here's the second point. And this is very, very important for us to note. It's really not about where the destination will be, but about who will be at the destination. Look at what that verse again. If you go back to that verse 1, it says, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land where? What land? Where I will show you. In other words, I am already there. You leave your comfort zone. I will take you to the land where I will show you. sometimes it's not about where I just want to make sure I'm going to know the destination. I just want to make sure I know all the things that God just has for me. I want to make sure I know all the plans because it has to make sense to me. It's not about the destination. It's about who will be there. Sometimes our focus has to come back from what is exactly God's plan to, am I just sure that God's there? Because once you're sure that God is there and that God is leading you to a certain place, he's already there. Abraham needed that fixer-upper faith. Where he was at, there was nothing going on. But God said, leave your country, leave your people, leave your father's household, and I will take you to a place where I will show you. In other words, I am already there. It's not about the destination because you don't know where that will be, but you know one thing for sure. I am there already. Abraham started not because he knew for sure where he would end up, but because he knew for sure God was there. That's the only thing he knew. It wasn't even like, God wasn't even like, Abraham, go to LA and I will meet you there. See, in that situation, God has given 2 points. He's given the destination and that he's there. But God is saying, go to a land. What land? It's a land that I will show you. See, what does that mean for us as individuals? What does that mean for you and I? See, God was telling Abraham to leave all the ways he defined himself and open himself up to a new definition of himself through God's eyes. It's no coincidence that God talks about those 3 things. Leave your country, your people, and your household. Do you know that psychologically, those 3 layers of relationships, that's how you form your sense of self? Isn't it? Your country, your people, community, and your household, family. Those 3 things, that's how you figure out who you are, right? That's how, what kind of person am I? Country, community, family. The revelation, the undertone, what's under the hood here is that God was not necessarily talking about leave this particular country. It wasn't about the country. It wasn't about the community. It was about leave your sense of self. How you define yourself. All the things that make you feel like this is me. This is who I am. This is who I am in the world. God is saying, put that stuff on hold. Go to a land, a new definition that I will show you. In other words, come with me on a journey, and on that journey, you will rediscover yourself through my eyes. In other words, you need to stop defining yourself through the lenses of, this is where I'm from, this is the community I live in, and this is what my family's like. God is saying, I will give you a new definition of yourself based on what I think of you. The same thing applies to us. The same thing applies to you and I. I wonder, how do you define yourself right now? When someone says, what kind of person are you? Of course, the list is long, because, if you are as awesome as I am, because clearly you will have a long list. Right? Jana, you help me out here. Right? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Right? If you're as awesome as Carlo, okay, you would have a long list to it, right? You have a long list, right? Tell me you have a long list, right? Carlo smiles at you and you melt. Have you seen Carlo smile before? Look at that, right? Right? And God is saying, look, all those things are great, but none of those things are as good as if you open yourself to me and let me give you a new definition of yourself. Why? Because those 3 layers are made of people. They're made of imperfect people. Trying to define yourself by, I live in this, I'm from Brooklyn, And I know there's people in the audience right now who are like, wait, hold up a second. Brooklyn? What is wrong with Brooklyn? Right? Tolu's like, Pastor, we're going to have a word after this. But the reality is all our neighborhoods are made up of imperfect people who are just trying to figure it out. God is perfect. And so God is saying, you're off to a great start. But to come deeper in me, you need to leave that self-definition and come with me on a journey where I will really tell you who you are. But you see, that requires fixer-upper faith. Because fixer-upper faith, where you are right now, is one of those buildings, one of those things at the top where it's like, wait, what? You want to use me? Like you live here right now. And God is saying, in God's mind, that's who you are. Because the reality is that this is the same exact space. With a vision, with someone's vision, it turns from that into that. The building is not transported anywhere else. It's the sense of self. There is a way, if you lived on the one on the top, there's a way that you would treat that place that is very different from if you lived in the one on the bottom. And God is saying that your faith may exist in that place right now where it needs to be fixed up. But if you come with me on a journey, I will help you paint the walls of your life. I will give you new furniture in your life. I will put new pipes in your life. I will make sure that the drainage system in your life is great. I will make sure that more light comes into your life. Are you seeing where this is going? I will make sure that the things that help the house to function, the air conditioning system, the air circulation system, everything is working much better if you come with me on a journey. Because the problem with the world sometimes is that we have such a strong definition of ourselves that we forget that there is a higher standard. But it takes faith. It's not easy to give up your sense of self. That's why God said, leave your country, leave your community, and leave your father's household. Those definitions of self can get us in trouble. They're a great place to start. God blesses us with those things, but that's a dangerous place to be and to remain. And the reality for all of us is that there are things that need to be rebuilt. There are areas of our lives that require fixer-upper faith. There are areas of our life that require fixer-upper faith. There are relationships that need to be healed. There are finances that need to be rebuilt. Our health needs to be regained. There are lives that need to be rebuilt. Some of us are going through things right now. It's like your life feels like it's upside down. Even our faith in God might need to be a fixer-upper project. Because we may have the structure, but it's not habitable. Nothing is happening. Here's the thing, folks. Our lives can't be rebuilt if we're so attached to it. Our lives can't be rebuilt if we are so attached to it. If you are living in that one on the top, talking about, well, no, I want the kitchen sink here. This is where it's always been. In all the 4 generations of my family, the kitchen sink has always been here. The staircase. I was watching a show last night, another fixer-upper show. Apparently, this Property Brothers, those 2 guys, they're doing the Brady Bunch rebuild or something like that, and they were counting the number of steps on the staircase. Apparently, it's 12, and now to rebuild the place, it has to be 11. So they're having a debate. Is the angle of the staircase more important or the number of steps? It has to be one or the other. So they called in somebody who was on the show, and the person was like, no, it's all about the angle. Because if you're so attached to what it was before, you will lose out on the vision that God has for what it is to come. You can't rebuild your life if you're so attached to it. If you're so attached to your sense of self, there's no space for God to operate. So what does Abraham and his faith have to do with us? How does it relate to Ignite as a church, as I round up? How does Abraham's fixer-upper life match our journey at Ignite here? Well, God gave us a vision for a church. Melting pot, place that worships God excellently, place that's open to people, a place that really tries as best as possible to show love and to care about each other. And we said yes. We said yes so that God will have the opportunity to touch the lives of people he brings here. At the point of starting, we were like that fixer-upper project. Nothing was there. Nothing was there. We only had a vision in our minds, an idea in our minds. And it took a lot of fixer-upper faith because there was nothing. It wasn't like someone said, hey, here's 100 people. That would be great if you could just pastor. When we started, there was nothing. Just enough faith to begin. God didn't tell us where the destination would be. God gave us an idea. But one thing we knew was that God was there. We didn't care so much about what kind of building would it be. We just knew that if we took this step forward, God was there. We knew that if we showed up this next Sunday, God was there. We said yes because we believe that God still performs miracles. We said yes because we want God to continue his mighty works in our generation. The stuff we read in the Bible, we believe that God is the same God that can do those things again. We believe that those things can happen in our day. That God is not tired of changing people. God is not tired of miracles. That if we worship him right, if we have our hearts set right, that God is still in the business of changing people. We said yes because we believe that the word of God that has existed for thousands of years, since the beginning of time, that word is still powerful to touch people's hearts and begin to affect it in a way that they've never experienced before. We said yes. We said yes because we have an obligation to whoever God sends us. You know, there's a story I heard of two people on hospital beds. One of them couldn't really, the bed that they laid on couldn't be raised to see outside. It was just flat on his back. And the other person had a bed that could be raised up. Interesting stuff happened. Every morning, the one who had the bed that could be raised up would go up, look at the window, and tell the other person what he saw. I see beauty. I see green grass. I see love. I see people walking hand in hand. I see so much beauty in the world. And the person flat on his back would say, oh my God, like, I can't wait till I can see that too. Eventually, the person who could raise his back passed away. So the nurse came in and cleaned the spot, and the person who now could move into that bed was like, whoa, when you get a chance, can I move to that bed instead so that I too can see what's outside? The nurse was like, what are you talking about, what's outside? No, the guy who was here before, every morning he would raise his bed and he would tell me what's happening on the outside. The nurse was like, that's weird, because number one, the person was blind. And number two, it's concrete outside. This window is facing a concrete wall. The nurse said, I don't know if you'd like me to tell you this, but the reason he was doing it was because of you. He lay there blind, but sensed that if he told you that, you would have hope for tomorrow. So every morning, he requested that his bed be raised up because he knew that you were watching. And then he would look outside and paint you a picture to get you through the day. And that's what he looked forward to the most. Every morning, it was all for you. We said yes at Ignite for you. Every Sunday, we raise our beds up to share with you the love of God, the power of God, and the nature of God, so that as you are flat on your back, as you've had a rough week, as you're going into another week, that you have an idea, that you have a picture, that you have something to hold on to. We too are struggling. We too have issues. We too are blind in some days. But we raise our beds up. We said yes to start this church because who knows who God would send us? Who knew that you'd be here? We didn't know you when we started, but we said yes because there are people out here whose destinies are hinging on our yes. And that's the invitation for you as well, is that you say yes to this community because you don't know who else will come into this community that as you are developing in your relationship with God, as you are growing, that somebody else will come one Sunday, sit right next to you, and feel the love of God, and their day is better. Who knows, some of you in this room could rise to the point where you are now in leadership in this church, and you are standing in a place like this, speaking life into other people. That's why we said yes. And that's the invitation. That's what we're asking for you today, that you continue to be a part of this community. That you say yes on Fixer Upper Faith. Because yes, right now, it doesn't look like a lot. Right now, it doesn't look like there's a lot going on. But I tell you that right now, it is a lot more than it was a year and a half ago in our minds. It may not look like a lot right now, but this is a whole lot more than at the point we said yes. And our goal, our desire, our prayer is that when we celebrate our 2nd year anniversary, that it will look even more glorious. But that will happen not when a few people commit. It's when all of us commit, that if we are really enjoying this beauty that is existing here, that we want to share, we want to invite people, and we also want to get deeper into this. So the simple ask right now is that you bow your heads and just take a moment and pray for this church. Just pray for this church, that this thing that God has started, that it will thrive. That it will thrive. That God will give us wisdom. God will give us understanding. That will bring more people. But that God will empower you here. That God will empower you to be even more impactful here. Ask that God will fix those areas of your life that require the fixer upper faith. It might not look like much right now, but your life, God is onto something in your life. It is not a coincidence that you're here. It is not a coincidence that you're here.